This is TheoTrade. I'm Don Kaufman. Here we are, April 20th, 2016. Once again, what do we get? A whole lot of grinding action in the S&P futures, although the market closed off the highs of the trading session. But the real news over here, we are just a stone's throw off the all-time high inside of the SPX. Just to throw a little perspective over here, what you're looking at is a one-year daily. You'll see the all-time high marked right there, 2134. Just to make certain that that is the all-time high. Hey, why not? Let's just open it up to a 3-year. Wow, it's a wild chart over there. Again, 2134. Here we sit just north of 2100. But the point that I want to make is that traders, they don't necessarily look at the SPX, right? We focus on the E-mini S&P 500 futures product. The futures, that is what drives order flow to the marketplace. It closes under 2100 after popping up into the 2105. So we started to do what we call fading into the close. That just means, just like it sounds, we actually faded off the highs, slipped a little bit into the close. However, whatever trade may have persisted today, okay, the talk of the town right now, a little bit about bonds. So again, I talked to tons of traders throughout the course of the day, but really the talk of the town is what's up to bat tomorrow morning. Again, we're going to be served up earnings from the first of the behemoth market cap stocks out there. And yes, I am actually referencing none other than Google. Microsoft is also up to bat, but oh, come on, how exciting is Microsoft, a $55 product? However, one thing I do want to share with you is it's effective from time to time to go through and kind of scan for what has earnings. So here's a scan that I put together. All of the scans are available inside of TheoTrade. It's just part of TheoTrade. So we build scans. We build a ton of different proprietary technical studies, except they're not necessarily proprietary because we hand them to you in there. Anyway, go check out inside of TheoTrade under shared charts, links, scans. And the reason I'm saying that is I just updated many of the scans that I do, a lot of contrarian scans, many of the watch lists that we use, customized columns, customized charts here. It's all inside, again, of TheoTrade. This is a pretty simple one, just has earnings in the next 3 days. I just wanted to take you through a little bit about what is coming up in terms of earnings over here. Once again, Google is being served up tomorrow. And one of the questions that you get over here is, you know, Google, Microsoft, Microsoft kind of gets overshadowed again by some of the action inside of Google. So let's get to it. Let's actually go take a quick glance over at Google. One of the first questions that comes up referencing Google, you know, a lot of people are you're gonna start here, you're gonna look at a chart. I think again, when it comes to earnings, what's the chart going to tell you? What? That we're just off all-time highs over here? Does this see what, you know, ultimately Google's got in their earnings announcement? Absolutely not. That's why these are binary events. One of the questions that I frequently get about Google, and it's a really simple one, and I'll close up this left side bar here. Look under option statistics. What do you trade? Do you trade Google L, or do you trade the original symbol Goog? And again, this is Goog is the Class C. You see it does about 18,000 contracts. Then, of course, we have Google L. And we'll pull up Google L, which is the other class. All right, so we have Class A, Class C, Class B. You're like, where is Class B? All right, that Class B is not available for you. But generally speaking, most traders and the larger amount of liquidity right now appears to be in Google L, and that has been rather consistent since the split inside of Google. By the way, if you're not aware of why they split it there, these shares do not have the same voting rights as what ultimately some of the owners of the company have. Why would they ever do that at Google? Because then you can't get activist investors involved. So I'm sorry, Carl Icahn, you won't be buying any Google and having a seat on the board anytime soon. I mean, even Apple has taken a couple of hits from Carl Icahn over the years. And, you can point out how many different activist hedge funds out there, like, Greenlight Capital. I mean, I can go on for half an hour. Again, Google, they didn't want to deal with it. They're running the business like an oligarchy. You gotta love it. Anyway, Google L looks like the product that's going to sustain the most liquidity for you. So I'll close up the option statistics there. It's just a good, to recognize where the liquidity is, especially when you're about to place trades around earnings. So one thing you want to do is prior to the earnings announcement, it doesn't matter at this point whether you want to be bullish, whether you want to be bearish. On Monday, okay, and if you missed it, go back to that Monday TheoTrade video where I actually show a couple of different earnings positions. Well, today I'm going to follow through a little bit of that. One of the things you do before an earnings announcement, okay, forget about opening up the option chain. Even if you could trade options, you're going to trade stock. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Close it up. All right. Look at the 2-day options. And what I want you to focus in this case is the expected move. So the expected move is right around $40. Now the implied volatility over here, it does not matter. Why doesn't the implied volatility matter? Because implied volatility is going to go up. Not because there's increased risk, however. And that's a huge misnomer. People think that implied volatility goes up. The risk is coming. The risk is coming. Please. Google was pricing this risk in over a month ago. The implied volatility is going up to keep the option prices up. All right. As time moves forward, what happens to options? And most people are probably aware of this, but as time moves forward, here's time. As it moves forward, options typically decay. Right? But the problem is with earnings coming up, we don't want options to decay. Why? Because you got to keep that risk metric higher. So what happens before, earnings is options decay more like this. Very, very flat, very, very subtle decay. How does that occur? Well, when options normally decay like this, the volatility increasing, okay, and this would be volatility and this would be time. They're inversely proportional. So what's happening is time is decaying, volatility is going up. What does it do? Offsets the time decay. And what you get is the expected move is the most important thing to look at. Now, if that was confusing, you're like, oh, there's tons of videos on TheoTrade specifically to get into that. But the point that I want to make with this is, people, they spend all this time on the chart. They miss the big picture. What's in the chart? Just the last earnings date. That's all I'm looking at in the chart. The chart's not going to tell you anything about, well, we might be going up or down. But you got to realize Google could rock the whole market tomorrow, right? Nobody has any clue. Google is one of those ones where, a few years back, if you guys don't remember this, Google, there was a media company that accidentally released Google's earnings during the trading day. Big screw up. Intern over there, he released it during the trading day. The stock moved $80. And it also took the NASDAQ futures down 20 points at the exact same time. So you got to love it. You think he's still working there? Nah. After you get fired from one of the media companies, where do you end up? I don't know, like Goldman Sachs maybe? Good stuff. Anyway, moving onward and upward. All I'm doing is looking at the earnings date on here. And the reason I'm looking at the earnings date, okay, is because I want to compare it to the previous earnings date. So it was on about February 1st. So I go to the Analyze tab. I go over to Think Back over here. And on Think Back specifically, I will go back and I will analyze the last earnings. Why am I actually looking back in time? In this case, I'll go right to it. Because what I want you to see is Google L was trading at 770. Right now it's trading, in the neighborhood 770. The expected move right now is $40. Where was it the day before there? It was what? $50. So it doesn't matter so much what the volatility is. It matters more what the expected move happens to be in this particular case. So you could look at it right before earnings. Let's fast forward one more day over here and you go, oh, it dropped. What did the stock move? Absolutely nothing. So what happened is this. The market was pricing in a $50, almost $2 move. And you know what happened when the earnings came out? Absolutely nothing. The stock moved $10. I just moved to the next day. So the next time earnings come out, what do? They price in like a $40 move. Now, what you want to do before earnings is you want to know the expected move. You want to know what kind of risk you're getting yourself involved in, whether you trade the options, whether you trade the stock, doesn't matter. But you want to take that exercise I showed you, and you want to go back and look at 3 to 4 separate earnings periods. So go to your chart, look at 3 to 4 separate earnings periods, and compare the expected move versus the actual move, and see, did it move over? Did it move under? Okay, what's the market pricing in right now? And I can tell you, just based on knowing Google, the expected move is extremely low for Google. This makes me apprehensive in wanting to be able to sell options premium around Google's announcement. Again, that announcement is coming out after the bell on Thursday, along with Microsoft. Again, another grinding day in the S&P 500. Enjoy it. Again, Google, that might just be the spark that lights the fire of the market over here. Whether you think we're going up or you think we're going down, again, got to get a handle on when some of these large market cap stocks are going to be heading out with earnings. Again, Google, Microsoft, Thursday. It's the beginning of the tech titans releasing their announcements. Thanks a lot, everybody, for joining us here at TheoTrade.